Hi everyone, I am so excited to be here for Space Day. My name is Samantha Sequeira and I'm going to be presenting on biomedical engineering, everything from arteries to astronauts. Before I begin, a little bit about myself is that I am from New Providence. I went to AWR and I graduated New Providence High School, and now I'm down south in Florida. I have my bachelor's degree in biomedical engineering. I am an astronaut scholar, and I'm currently pursuing my master's degrees in biomedical and mechanical engineering. So, to start out, what is biomedical engineering? Biomedical engineering is a huge field that encompasses everything from the design of wheelchairs and hospital beds to x rays, all the way to cell bio and regenerative medicine and trying to create new organs. Biomedical engineering takes all of the computation and design and math of engineering and combines it with the life sciences like biology and chemistry to try and create new cures to diseases and improve people's quality of life and make diagnostic technology more efficient. So, what's my background in biomedical engineering? I started out fascinated with tissue engineering and regenerative medicine, and I did my internships at an amazing company that took people's DNA and spliced out the DNA that coded for diseases and gave it back to the patients, and this enabled them to live healthier lives without the diseases that they would have had succumbed to naturally. From there, I ended up doing my senior design project in myoelectric technology. And what that means is my group tried to take the muscle signals that your brain sends to your muscles to contract and move, and we automated it so that our machines could pick up on those signals and use it to create a brace that would support your muscles and do what your brain told your muscles to do. This was great for rehabilitation and giving people who were losing their strength that strength back. This was kind of modeled after the Iron Man suit. And then my research has been in cardiovascular engineering. And what that is basically the engineering, the design, and the analysis of how your heart works and how the blood flow surrounding your heart works and changes and alters with diseases and with age. So my research focuses on a disease called coronary artery vasculopathy. It's a heart disease where the walls of the arteries that provide blood to your heart muscles, or your coronary arteries, thicken and constrict. This is a huge problem because this is going to cut off blood flow to your heart, and if your heart doesn't have blood, it can't pump blood to the rest of your body. This happens a lot after transplants, so once your heart starts to fail, they transplant in a new heart, and then this is your body's way of rejecting that heart. And we use image segmentation to try and understand quantitatively, so use numbers to analyze how an intravascular ultrasound, which is a camera that takes pictures of the inside of your arteries, how that shows the patients who've received heart transplants and how their arteries are affected by this. What we do is when you take the images from the inside of your arteries, you get a bunch of images, and we create a stack of images using Slicer, and then we process that in MATLAB. This is a really incredible technology because it lets us take a bunch of two-dimensional images and create three-dimensional models. For example, I went in for a ultrasound scan of my heart, and I asked for the data, and I took the two-dimensional images that they gave me, and I created a replica of my heart from it. So this is a real size replica of the heart that is currently beating in my chest because we could use image segmentation. So how we're trying to do this is we take the data from the patients in the hospital, from the inside of their arteries, and then we filter out the noise so we make it easier to understand. We take the images and we put them into Slicer to define where the walls are, and that's basically where we would be creating our models. And then we use MATLAB and we write a bunch of code to try and understand how the changes in the arterial wall affect the person's day-to-day life, how it affects how much blood goes to the body. From there, we create a point cloud, so we create a rough outline of where the arteries are in healthy and sick patients, and we use computational fluid dynamics, or CFD, simulations to compare healthy and sick patients. And what that does is it shows us what's happening in your body, but on a computer screen. And from here, we're designing algorithms to quantitatively link the arterial thickness, so how thick your walls are, your arterial walls, to the disease's progression, so we can better understand what's happening in people's bodies as it happens. So what this looks like is, in the first image, you see a lot of noise, and it's kind of hard to interpret what you're seeing. So in the second one, we try and define the lines of the walls, and in the third one, we apply a lot of filters, and we write a lot of code to try and make it clearer, so that in the fourth image, you can see exactly how thick the artery is. So we put it through image processing, and what that is defining how the image moves and how we can track the artery as it moves. Right now, you're seeing a set of about 40 images, and you're seeing the images move a lot. This is because the images are being taken as the heart's beating, so we have to try and account for the movement. This creates what we call the stack of coins model. So as the heart beats, it causes a shift in our images, which creates this ragged, bumpy model. And this isn't great for trying to run simulations on, because this isn't actually what our hearts look like. So what this looks like is that every time your heart beats, you're going to see our arteries going like this and bumping with your heart. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to clean that up using image processing and code and make it into a smooth artery by going like this, but with code. So this is the healthy model, and as you can see, it's very pronounced. So we're trying to make it smooth and look like what you would see in your chest. So the reconstructed point cloud model is essentially what we're trying to bring the data into. We're trying to make it look smooth and capable of running simulations on, like how your blood would actually be running through your body. So with all of this technology, all this data, all this code that we're writing, we're trying to look at the bigger picture. And while yes, coronary artery vasculopathy is incredibly important, and the implications of being able to have better technology to help solve these diseases is huge, we're also looking at what else biomedical engineering can do. So what does biomedical engineering have to do with space? Well, there are a lot of bodily changes that happen in space. And for anyone who wants to be an astronaut, you have to keep in mind that when you go outside of Earth's atmosphere, you're going to experience high doses of radiation. We have to wear sunscreen on Earth because the sun's UV rays are harmful for us. The closer you get to the sun, the more magnified these rays are. Next up, we're going to experience zero gravity bone and muscle loss. So your muscles have to work to keep you standing and to keep you able to pick up books and pick up your backpack. But when there isn't gravity, your muscles don't have to work as hard and you start to lose your muscles. We also see this kind of effect in cardiovascular blood flow. So as gravity decreases, your heart doesn't know how hard to pump blood to get it to different places. So looking into this is called hemodynamics. And when it's in space, it gets a lot more complicated because your heart knows how hard to pump blood to get it to your brain, but your heart doesn't know that you're going into a zero gravity environment. So it's now pumping a lot more blood than it has to your brain. And your blood's facing a lot less resistance to get up to your brain. And this is going to cause a lot of problems like swelling in your brain and swelling in your skull and intraocular or eye damages because there's too much fluid surrounding your eyes. So how are we trying to deal with this? How are we trying to analyze it and understand it? So what you see here on the screen is a model that I created of a brain and of the vessels in the brain. So what you're seeing is the vessels that come along the center of your brain and down your neck. And what we're trying to do is we're running simulations of this, and we are simulating how different levels of gravity would affect the amount of blood that goes through your brain, and then how that affects the arteries and how that's going to cause arterial degradation, or how it's going to harm the arteries over time. With an increase of people going to space, we're seeing an increase in funding for technology and research in space-based applications of biomedical engineering. So I hope that anything that I said interested you and makes you want to learn more about either biomedical engineering or being an astronaut or learning about space sciences, because it's truly fascinating and I have had so much fun learning about it. Thank you so much for your time, and if you had any questions, I would love it if you shot me an email or ask my mom and she can ask me. Um, I would love to thank the library for having me, and I hope you have an amazing space day.